So what you're talking about there is that section on Presidential Parkway, let's say where the old Target was and such. So there's a new owner for that will bring potential future development as we move
There's
forward.
a new owner there, and we're looking at that whole corridor. We've also got some GDOT things that'll be going on Eisenhower Parkway to make that more traffic friendly, more pedestrian friendly as well, safer for the community over there. And we're also got a gateway project that we're going to kick off here. We've been talked about that last year. We put money in the budget for it. 2 or 3 of our gateways have been approved by GDOT, and we are already in the process of selecting the people that's going to plan it, which has to be done before March. And then our long-term commitment to maintain that through a third party to make sure our gateways entering our community are clean, upkept, and they look beautiful when you come in and they're inviting.
Well, speaking of a gateway, there's been some rumblings from the historic preservation community about the demolition of the old gatehouses at Central City Park. I know that there's a plan to enhance the ball fields and to replace those, but I think some leaders thought that they were going to be restored as part of the Carolyn Creighton Park improvements, and I know you want to get the softball tournaments back. So can you tell us what's going on and why those gatehouses couldn't be saved?
They were just in too bad disrepair. The folks that looked at it, they're really not salvageable. The roof had caved in, some of the brick is very brittle, and of course that venue has expanded throughout the operation, and it's important to have the certain width and certain height of the rides and things that come in there as we continue to grow. You know, I understand it's old, doesn't necessarily mean historical. If it is, we have a lot of historical people in Macon, right? So it's the third or fourth building that's been at that location. We went back and looked at the history. Certainly, I was not aware that people were not talking back and forth when that project decided to move forward. I don't think that we necessarily owe everybody in Macon-Bibb County to tell them we're going to remove a structure of our own property on our own locations that we have, but certainly I hadn't heard anybody. Nobody had contacted me about helping out or doing any of that work there. We try to preserve any time as possible. As a matter of fact, Ethiel Garlington, when we have our blight list, if there's a particular structure and we send them a copy of our list, that is something that needs to be protected, that has very historical significance, we remove it from our blight list. We try to work and be a good partner to make sure that we restore what we can. My understanding from these particular properties, it was very cost prohibitive, number one, but not very much was salvageable. And like I said, it's been 3 or 4 different entrances in that park since the early 1900s. So I didn't see necessarily the big historical significance of that. We do plan on reaching out to them as well as members of the community to help in the design process. So that's going to be consistent with our other. And of course, we have a new name. It's Carolyn Creighton Park now. And I think we still need to have some signature there on that and make sure it's consistent with the other parks that we have. So, you know, we apologize if anyone got offended by the tearing that down. It's not one of those things that we did in darkness. We assumed that people knew because it's falling down because they complained about it. You know, it was a dangerous structure, and I was worried that someone was going to get harmed or hurt there. Of course, we do have the cherry blossom coming up, and although we may not have them rebuild by that particular time, we didn't want to have to navigate around that dangerous structure there at a time that we needed to. And we're trying to make over the whole park. That includes some lighting that we're going to add there. Certainly, we found out what some of the drainage issues there, and that's going to be addressed. And the ball fields, outside of being an economic impact on Macon-Bibb County, we're going to make sure they're consistent and they complement the other things that we have and facilities we have in Macon, and they can also generate some money. So we're very excited about all the things that's going on there. We'll continue to work with our partners in the Historical Society and do what we think is best. And perhaps we can learn a lesson is that we have to be better communicators, and it's a two-way street. And I talked to Mr. Garlington. I said, hey, if you had a plan for it, reach out to us. You could drive by there just like I do, and you see the conditions are there. A simple phone call, email ahead of time to say, what can we do to save this structure that made it to my desk would have certainly been helpful. But we're just trying to make all the best improvements we can for that park and give it its proper attention to it. And like I said, we were not aware of any historical significance of that other than just being the interest to that park of that importance. Because we have seen pictures of at least 3 or 4 entrances where that's been remade several times, and one of them was because of a fire.